Okay, let's just dive right into this. Have you ever stopped to wonder what the largest, most hidden corners of the internet actually look like? Today, in this explainer of our source material, we're going to decode a fascinating digital ecosystem that operates entirely in plain sight. It generates billions, and I mean literally billions, of views, yet it remains, largely unnoticed by mainstream media and everyday adults. We are looking at the massive, totally algorithm-driven world of Hindi children's animation. To truly wrap our heads around the sheer scale of the phenomenon we're about to decode, let me just ask you a direct question. What kind of video gets 21 million views? When you hear a massive number like that, you probably instantly think of a global pop star's highly anticipated music video, maybe an explosive Hollywood movie trailer, or a crazy stunt by a top-tier creator, right? But in the unique ecosystem we're breaking down today, those views belong to something, well, entirely unexpected. 21,114,563 views. Just take a second to let that magnitude really sink in. We're not talking about a channel's lifetime view count here. That is the equivalent of the entire population of a small country all tuning in to watch one single solitary upload. And what brilliantly illustrates the bizarre, highly unpredictable nature of this algorithm is the actual content itself. Get this. That colossal view count belongs to a Hindi animated cartoon titled Witch in the Jungle. It's a seemingly simple, super niche animated story about birds encountering a witch. Yet, this unassuming little story commands a dedicated audience that major global television networks could literally only dream of capturing. So, how exactly does a video like this achieve such astronomical success? Well, here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, the YouTube view giant. Number 2, the Bird Cinematic Universe. Number 3, Spooky Tales for Kids. Number 4, the Endless Jungle Book. And number 5, the viral content formula. Kicking things off with Section 1, the YouTube view giant, decoding 21 million views. There is an absolutely incredible mismatch in the data we've pulled from our sources here. Look at the channel Rima Birds TV. They only have 158,000 subscribers. Yet, their video, Witch in the Jungle, which was uploaded in November 2024, sits at over 21 million views. This proves a fascinating reality about this space. You don't actually need a massive, loyal subscriber base to win. You really just need to crack the code of the algorithmic recommendation feed, and the views will just pour in exponentially, totally regardless of your sub count. Moving right along to Section 2, the Bird Cinematic Universe, a connected ecosystem. If you put on your field guide hat and analyze the source material, you start to see a completely interconnected universe of independent creators. And they all reuse the exact same character archetypes, names you see everywhere like Rano Chidia, Tuni, and Kalukawa. But hold on, these aren't just fluffy, cute animal stories. The recurring themes are surprisingly intense. They deal with extreme weather, like heavy winters or flooding rains, deep systemic poverty, and then the sudden intervention of magic. These are highly relatable, struggle-based morality tales for kids, built entirely on the foundations of daily survival. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the sheer creativity born from this struggle-based formula. Take a look at this specific, highly inventive title we pulled straight from our source list. Bird made a magical grass AC to escape the heat. I mean, it's fascinating, right? The creators are taking a very real, very harsh real-world problem, sweltering summer temperatures, and blending it with a magical, highly entertaining solution. It's basically the perfect hook to keep children deeply engaged while subtly teaching them about problem solving. All right, on to Section 3, Spooky Tales for Kids, a dark, lucrative genre. Now, the crucial point I want you to take away here is the absolute tonal whiplash happening within this ecosystem. On one side, you've got a wholesome survival-based story like Bird's Winter Story, but literally one click away, served up by the exact same algorithm, you get Shadow of the Witch in the House, a story with an astonishing 13 million views. The platform doesn't really separate the innocent from the eerie, it simply bundles them together based on whatever keeps those young viewers glued to their screens. This proves that mild horror is absolutely not an anomaly here. It's a foundational pillar. Just look at the raw numbers. We've got our anchor video, Witch in the Jungle, at 21 million, Shadow of Witch on House at 13 million, Witch's Haunted Family at nearly 5 million, and Strange Girl and Witch's Wrath easily pulling in hundreds of thousands of views. Basically, creators are drawing in tens of millions of clicks by strategically tapping into local folklore and spooky tropes that kids just find irresistibly thrilling. Which brings us to Section 4,
The Endless Jungle Book, Algorithmic Giants.
To understand the true, almost unfathomable scale we're dealing with, we have to look at legacy intellectual property. Because as massive as our 21 million view Witch video is, it gets entirely dwarfed by established IP. A Shurkan Mega Marathon sits at a colossal 43 million views. And then at the absolute top of the mountain, a single Mowgli mega episode upload commands a mind-bending 311 million views. Legacy characters like Mowgli absolutely dominate the space. What this means is that independent creators have to constantly innovate, bringing in witches and magical air conditioners just to compete with these corporate mega marathons. Finally, Section 5, the viral content formula. Let's synthesize all this data.
Okay, let's break down this exact recipe for virality that we've decoded directly from the source data. It's basically a 3-step process. Step 1. Establish relatable struggles. You hook the viewer by showing characters facing extreme heat, deep poverty, or crazy monsoons. Step 2. Inject folklore or mild horror. You introduce a witch, a ghost, or maybe some magic to raise the stakes or solve the problem. And Step 3. Capitalize on legacy IP. Whenever possible, bundle familiar characters into these hours-long mega marathons. When creators combine these 3 steps, they create a virtually inescapable algorithmic loop. If we map out a child's typical viewing session based on these recommendations, it looks something like this. About 40% of the feed is dedicated to those struggle-based bird morality stories. 30% goes to massive legacy IP like Mowgli. 20% sneaks in that highly engaging, spooky witch content. And then the remaining 10%, that's driven by hyper-fast, high-engagement viral shorts. It is a perfectly calibrated algorithmic diet that balances moral lessons, thrills, and familiar faces. So what's the big takeaway from today's analysis? Well, it's this. We are not just looking at random, low-budget cartoons here. This is a highly optimized formula of relatable struggles, folklore, and familiar characters. I find this absolutely fascinating. We are looking at a brilliant, totally data-driven content machine hiding right in plain sight. It's commanding billions of hours of human attention just by giving the algorithm exactly what it craves.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to ponder. As algorithms increasingly dictate and shape childhood entertainment around the globe, what new digital folklore are we quietly building today? These algorithmic stories of magical grass air conditioners and haunted jungle birds, they are quickly becoming the fairy tales of an entirely new generation. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember, always keep questioning the data behind the screen.